I didn't have a whole lot of information to go off on. You know, like the breakdown of the character was an enthusiastic company man. Like, that's it. You know, and I remember Ben telling me, even before I got the role, they said, you know, well, this guy can be mean and he can be nice. I was like, okay, well, great. I don't know how much to do with that.
Sorry if I freak out on you a little.
Don't worry. I'm very excited to meet you.
Today we welcome Tramell Tillman to the Den. He plays the menacing middle manager in the show Severance. Season 2 comes out January 17th, so Tramell, it's a pleasure to have you here in the Den. Given the heightened anticipation of Season 2 of Severance, after a long 3-year wait for many of us, what aspects of the upcoming season are you most excited for audiences to experience, particularly concerning Mr. Milchick's experiences throughout the season?
Well, you know, there's a new sheriff in town. And Milchick has now garnered the role of manager of the Severed Floor. So now this is a new level of leadership for him. And I'm really excited for audiences to see how he handles this level of leadership. And also, you know, we pick up right where we left off from season 1. Where the story goes, how the characters evolve is going to be really interesting. And I'm really wanting to hear how fans respond to it.
What are you hoping that fans take away from season 2?
I would have to say I really want them to get more involved with the mystery of it, with the secrets of Lumen. The first season had so many questions, right? And as you stepped through it in the end, you got a few answers out of it, but it still left you with so many more. And with season 2, you get a little bit more answers, but it leaves so much more questions. And there's so many Easter eggs that exist in season 2 that I hope the fans really lean into and start dissecting it. And we have some of the smartest fans attached to it. I mean, they break it down to a simple fraction, and it's incredible to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, that was my next question is, you know, with 3 years between season 1 and season 2, fans have had so much time to go back through season 1, look through all of these Easter eggs, and you know, there's so many Reddit threads and articles and YouTube videos out there of people theorizing, you know, everything basically under the sun. Do you find yourself reading those theories and just kind of seeing, like, taking a general gauge of like what is the audience thinking, and like, are they right, are they wrong? And I'm sure you don't even know where some of this show is going.
Well, I do dabble a bit in the Reddit threads, not too much. But I'm amazed at how detailed these descriptions are and how imaginative they are. And with that, their ideas that they come up with that I'm like, wait, I didn't even think about that. Like, that's really incredible. Like, maybe I need to steal that idea. Or, you know, what is this world? Or what's that mean? And some of them are just really downright funny and hilarious. But it just speaks to the intelligence of the show, you know, the brilliance of Dan Erickson and Ben Stiller to be able to build this show. Bo Willimon, who was our showrunner in season 2, and Mark Friedman as well, who were all just, you know, fearless leaders, willing to take chances and really push the envelope. In season 2, it really pushes it. Let's
go back in time a little bit. It's obviously been a long time since you auditioned for this role. Can you kind of, you know, take us behind the curtain a little bit on what was actually like auditioning for this role and what went into that?
Well, you know, I was actually doing a Broadway show at the time. It was Great Society at Lincoln Center, and it was led by Brian Cox. And unfortunately, we closed early. So I needed a job, you know. It was 2019. It was about November around that time. And this project came across my desk, and I remember thinking, okay, this is kind of strange, but let me just give it a shot. Let me just jump in. Let's see what happens. And just like any other audition, you do your homework, you do what you can, and then you leave it alone. Mm-hmm. So I went in and I met with Bess and Rachel Tenner, our casting director, and did the sides, and then immediately after tossed the sides and kept on trucking to the next thing. And then I get a phone call, say, hey, you got a call back. And in the callback, guess what? Ben Stiller's going to be there. I was like, oh, shoot. Okay, well, Ben Stiller's going to be there, and Dan Erickson's going to be there. Great. So I hightail it over to the callback audition, and I was late, actually. And I remember flying through the Bronx because the audition was in a studio in the Bronx. I was flying through the Bronx, trying to get there on time. And I get there in a decent amount of time, to the point where they don't know that I'm late for the audition. And I go in, I meet with Ben, I meet with Dan, and I make Ben laugh. So I said, okay, well, if it doesn't work out in my favor, at least I made Ben Stiller laugh. So I said, that's a win. And as a matter of fact, the scene that I auditioned with was the red ball scene, So that was really fun to be able to play in that world. And, a couple of weeks later, I found out, actually January of 2020, I found out that I got the role.
Alec Bojalid is our TV editor at Den of Geek, and he wrote the review of Severance Season 2, gave it a glowing 5 out of 5 stars. So we were joking that, he's seen Season 2, I have not. I'm doing the interview with you today, so I'm kind of like his outie. He's seen the show. He's kind of like my innie, right? But in that review, he has a quote. He says, then there's Tramell Tillman, who I steadfastly refuse to believe is an actual actor hired for this series and not merely Mr. Milchick's unaware outie. So convincing is his performance as the ultimate upward-striving middle manager. And I thought that quote was just beautiful. How did you go about creating your own version of Mr. Milchick? And were there any characters in other TV shows or movies that you drew inspiration for this character?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm floored by that review, and I'm so grateful for it. This show is so delicate in nature, and creating this world is so delicate, and we had to be sure that we were staying on the line, because it's one of those things that this show can really become a farce in of itself, or something really bizarre that we did not want to forsake the integrity of it. So with Milchick in particular, I didn't have a whole lot of information to go off on. Like the breakdown of the character was an enthusiastic company man. Like, that's it. And I remember Ben telling me, even before I got the role, they said, well, this guy can be mean and he can be nice. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, well, great. I don't know how much to do with that. But it's like, how do you find that? But what was really interesting was that this is a world of secrets. Lumen has secrets. And it almost feels cultish. So this guy has got to be a devotee, right? He's committed to it wholeheartedly, and willing to put his life on the line. And he's also got these people who are almost like children to him, the innies. So I was like, okay, well, he's kind of a teacher, he's a guider, but then he's also an enforcer. So how do you keep the mystery there? How do you keep the power? And for me, it was really about keeping everybody off kilter.
Definitely. I mean, I think you wield that divisiveness between being mean and being nice at the exact right moment. And that it strikes fear into the audience, I think. Why do you think that Milchick is so devoted to Lumen? What does he actually see in Lumen that he's just so bought in?
There's something that Lumen gives him that he can't get anywhere else. And what that is specifically, I think, has not been established yet, right? And that's the fun of it. We don't know what that is. I literally do not know, and that's not me being cagey. I literally don't know. I attribute the research that I did with cults and my experience being a part of organizations, whether they be religious or non-religious, where you have people that are devotees, and you see that many times these people who commit their life to it, there is something that they have gone through, they've endured. There's a perspective of the world that this particular entity, this organization provides a place of safety and structure and routine. And with Milchick is all about routine. His hair is pristine, his clothes are pristine, everything is in place. Even the way he speaks is pristine. So it makes sense to find those connections of solidity and strength, and him tying it right into Lumen was really powerful. So as long as I continue to lean or push Milchick to lean more on Lumen and less in the kind of the ethical world and why he's doing this and why is that, it made him much more ferocious.
Certainly so. A menace and oh wow. Changing subject a little bit, will you have a dance scene follow-up this year? Because that's one of the most iconic moments of season 1. And what is it like having a scene like that in your career catalog?
The music dance experience in season 1 was an incredible surprise. So originally that scene was not going to be in the show. Like, they had not written that part. And if you look at the script, when they did decide to add it, it basically said music dance experience. That was it. So it was my job and the rest of my cast and Ben's job to really figure out, what is this? How do we do this? And how do we tell this story? And there was so many elements that we saw. The lights that came on, which was really in the moment. We didn't even know that the lights overhead worked. So that coming on, I was like, oh, wait, this is really cool, and the music that Ben chose, all of that really fed it. And so the choreographer that we had, Tara Hart Rodriguez, she was really instrumental in just saying, you know what, you flow how you want to flow, but let's go to each of the innies and just play with them and just ratchet it up. So that was really freeing to be able to establish that scene. And we had no idea that it was going to turn out the way it did. And now it's everywhere.
It was very raw and uncut and truly from your heart, right? You just got to have fun.
Yes, it was so much fun. And it's also a great release for Milchick. He was coming in, he's high pressure, everything is going haywire, but it's like now, I can relax. I can let loose. I need some frivolity too. And so he does it.
It's been announced that you also have a role in Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, which comes out May 23rd. How did that opportunity come to be, and what should we expect from you in that role?
I'd have to credit it to Severance, because Christopher McQuarrie is a big fan of the show. And he saw my work and he said, hey, I want to work with you. And he had told me about Mission Impossible as much as he could share with me. And I said, okay, sure, let's figure it out. And we did. And it was a great time. And I am looking forward to audiences seeing it.
Are you able to divulge anything about your character?
I cannot. Okay. I would love to, but non-disclosure policy forbids, as Milchick says.
No worries.
In season
no
one.
worries. Well, anyways, any final thoughts? Any last messages to the audience of what you would like to give them for season 2, or what they should expect?
Listen, I just have to share my gratitude for your patience and sticking with us. And I'm so glad that you all are committed to this show, and I really hope that it meets your expectations and beyond.
Tramell Tillman, Severance Season 2, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The music dance experience is officially canceled.